Hello, and welcome to my channel. It's the Network Specialist. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. Everything I will discuss in this video is alleged and in my very own opinion, used for entertainment purposes only. You see the thumbnail. Todd Tucker, just like Kandi, we want the best for you. Okay, so this video was inspired by Thanksgiving Day. Okay, so let me go ahead and move this thumbnail so we can get into some things. And guys, when you're coming in, hit that like button. That is your way of saying hello, and it is free 99. Okay. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is a picture that Kandi posted on Thanksgiving just 2 days ago. And guys, Kandi is really going out of her way to make this divorce and separation amicable. So they spent Thanksgiving together. As you can see, both Riley and Kayla are in the photo as well as Blaze and Ace, okay, and the family. So people were questioning why Todd wasn't in the photo, but Kayla was in the photo. Okay, so I don't know if she replied in the comments, but Kandi did let people know that Todd was there, but Todd left at some point. Okay, but he was there at first and he left. So I want to head on over to Todd's Instagram so that we can see where Todd went after he left Candy's place. So give me a moment while I pull that up. And one thing I have realized about this situation with Kandi and Todd is that nobody really wants this divorce. Okay. As much as people like to call Todd an opportunist, we like Todd. Okay. So, we get it. Sometimes things just doesn't work out, but we still want the best for Todd. And at this point, we feel like Todd deserves the best because Todd has been there day in and day out doing daddy daycare. So we love Todd. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And let me just make sure you guys can see it. Okay. Perfect. Oops. Let me go ahead and move this so you guys can see it. Okay, here we go.
After Thanksgiving party, yo, we out here. Let me see what we got going on. Hey, I got my boy Rohan. Rohan, what you doing over there? Hey, yo, Rohan fishing, place. Like, yo, we out here. Hey, yo, where y'all at, man? Y'all ain't ready for this. Yo, my guy will be trying to talk on the oysters. What's up, my guy? You doing it? Yes, sir. Hey. Crazy, man. Crazy. Hey. Hey, yo, I'm out here, man. After Thanksgiving party, yo, we out here. Let me see what we got going on.
Okay, so let me stop that.
I got my boy Rohan.
So
Rohan, what you doing?
that party does look like a vibe. That food look good. We all know that, Todd is just, basically trying to move on. He's trying to let everybody know that he's not bothered. But let me just go ahead and read a couple of comments, but there's actually one comment that really inspired this video. Okay, so before I get to that comment, let me just go ahead and read a couple of the comments. And Todd said on the video, my friends throw better parties than yours. Laugh out loud. We outside, literally. Okay. And somebody said, why is it a problem with him posting? He's not being negative or disrespectful. Y'all just want to see people miserable. And if he was not posting, people would find an issue with that. Let these folks live their life. They're not harming anyone. And I totally agree. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to move on. However hard it is, whatever the case may be, you have to move on. And somebody else said, and that's why I say people really don't want to see them divorced. And somebody else said, Todd, go get your wife, fight for your family. Okay. And 350 people liked that post. So again, people were really rooting for Todd and Kandi. And somebody else said, Todd ain't never posted this much. Go heal first. And 565 people liked that post. And somebody else said, sometimes being silent is more powerful than being loud. Okay. But the person that really said a lot, and her post was very, very long, but I really felt where she was coming from. And this is kind of like how I feel about the situation. So let me find that particular post. Okay. And this person, and I'm going to read this to you guys. And let me just make sure you guys can still see it. Okay. Perfect. And that person said, at Todd, sorry you and at Kandi did not make it to forever, but just maybe it is for the best that you two can show up at you two happiest and healthiest. The verbiage is a little off, so bear with me. Happiest and healthiest for yourselves and for you two children. Your two videos of discussing marriage, splitting things in the circumstances of divorce, taking the man's husband's last name, have been circling the block. From the outside looking in, Todd, you were allegedly a part of the production team or a cameraman when you and Kandi met. I am not sure what your earnings were, but at least you worked. Kandi name held some weight. I do not think anyone knew Todd Tucker prior to you dating and eventually marrying Kandi Burris, my opinion. In hyphenating her last name, I understood why she made that choice. Kandi's last name is a part of her brand, legacy. As she said, she also made the choice for her daughter. Great job, Kandi. I could be wrong, but Todd, it appears you wanted Kandi to drop her last name for your ego. Alternate reasons, such as your name holding the weight legacy. Everything would have been the Todds, except for Kandi's daughter, Riley. Also, I am quite sure you knew you were marrying a boss woman. Kandi may have needed and wanted you as her friend, lover, husband, father of her children, companion, but she did not need you for her to boss up or financially. And obviously, she did not marry you for finances or lack thereof. Appear she married you for love. Let me just find my place again, guys. Therefore, everything that you two did business wise and you two financial gain during your marriage was on Kandi's name, reputation, hard work, reputation. Again, I don't know if anyone knew you, at least not in the entertainment Hollywood realm. I am not saying that you did not work hard. had ideas, supported endeavors, but Kandi also worked hard, supported, had ideas in your two endeavors. But again, the success, failures in you two's business, oh my gosh, this is hard to read, was had built on Candy's foundation, not yours. Whatever opportunities you have or will have for me will always be built on Candy's foundation. Always. What you do with the opportunities, open doors are afforded via meetings, marrying Candy is a blessing. So do not bite the hand that fed you. So that's what she had to say. Now, that was hard to read. It sounds like this person might be from New York just from the lingo of the way she spoke, but she made some great points that from this point on, Todd will always be able to stand on Candy's name. She's the bigger name, she's the bigger brand. And at the end of the day, I feel like Candy wants what's best for Todd. Okay. Now, let me stop sharing that and share another video that Candy posted with a little humor because, again, Candy is really trying to make this an amicable situation. So let me share my screen again. This is a situation where nobody really wants to pick sides, honestly. Nobody wants to pick sides because it's really just a sad situation that you really wish could have worked out. So Miss Netta had some kind words for Candy, and Candy shared this post and she said, "My Thanksgiving started off shaky, but then Miss Netta put a smile on my face with this video. I'm thankful for the love," and she tagged Charles and Netta official. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Family, how y'all doing this morning? I'm just sending you a little bit words of encouragement this morning for this Thanksgiving morning. I want to let you know that you and your family, I feel that whatever that you guys are going through, I think that y'all got it. God don't put nothing on you that you cannot bear. So by that being said, I'm just want to just give you a little word of encouragement this morning. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long forever gone? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is he. Candy, his eye is on a sparrow, and I know he watches. You know he watches me, but he also watches you too. He watches me. Happy Thanksgiving. Hello, good morning, Candy.
So what did y'all think about Miss Netta's vocals? They weren't bad. Don't get me wrong, they weren't bad. And I thought that that was a very nice and sweet and kind gesture coming from Miss Netta. So shout out to her. You know, a lot of people thought it was a nice, kind gesture. You know, some people had jokes, obviously, but I just feel like that was a nice gesture, you know, for Kandi. She may have done it for clout. Some people say she gonna talk about this, you know, until Easter, you know, that Kandi shared her post. However, Kandi shared the post, she liked it and thought it was a nice gesture. So I'm going to end this video with something that this young lady had to say about Kandi and how she stood on business when it came to her prenup. Okay. And guys, when I share, sometimes the volume isn't that high. So make sure your volume is turned up on your end.
Divorces. Kandi is a divorce attorney's dream, while Cardi B is a divorce attorney's nightmare. For two very simple, different reasons. Kandi don't play about her bag and her empire, where Cardi allowed her heart to fuck with her bag and her empire. I just want to not only give a shout out to Kandi for being one of those clients that listens and follows the direction and instructions of her attorney, but also utilizes her voice to voice her concerns and what she's actually looking at, and they go out and execute. We don't give enough praise to attorneys when they actually save their clients decades later. We know this prenup was entered into, it was on their wedding special. And her attorneys knew what she was looking for and how they were going to get her there. We all saw that Todd had a pushback for no reason. I don't know if it was for the cameras, but Kandi stood on motherfucking business. She said, we ain't walking down this aisle without that prenup signed. And that's literally the only way she walked down that aisle. Now, what could have been a disaster and all of her empires could have been up for debate, now it's very simple. That's the total opposite for Cardi B. Cardi B used her Libra cat when she should have been borrowing Kandi's Taurus heart. Because Kandi don't play about her money. If that's anything, that girl is a true definition of a boss ass bitch. She don't play with her bag. And I get Cardi B was in love, baby. Love don't stop a fucking headache. And you are in a headache. That's why I'm like, Kandi literally crawled so y'all could walk and make sure that y'all have that prenup. Why do you think Kandi put it on TV? Because she wanted to make sure that she could be a resource to educate other boss women who have built empires on their back, brick by brick. So when it comes to divorces and when it comes to clients, Kandi is a client that you want and desire. But we oftentimes get the Cardi B's where we got to go in and perform surgery and really get in the fucking gutter because our clients didn't listen. So shout out to Kandi for showing the girls the importance of a prenup, because they'll be out here following Cardi B.
The scheme that Todd set up to come to you with the bull. That's why I'm here, y'all. And especially Andy. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a platform where my memes live longer than some people's careers. And to every woman I ever filmed RHOA with, I see some of y'all here tonight. The good, the bad, the shade, the reads, the laughs, the tears. We made history together. And I will always be embedded in your motherfucking brain, bitch. Thank you, bravo.
When it comes to celebrity divorces, Kandi is a divorce attorney's dream, while Cardi B is a divorce attorney's nightmare. For two very simple, different reasons. Kandi don't play about her bag and her empire, where Cardi allowed her heart to fuck with her bag and her empire. I just want to not only give a shout out to Kandi for being one of those clients that listens and follows the direction and instructions of her attorney, but also utilizes her voice to voice her concerns and what she's actually looking at, and they go out and execute. We don't give enough praise to attorneys when they actually save their clients decades later. We know this prenup was entered into, it was on their wedding special. And her attorneys knew
There you go,
what she was
guys.
looking for and how they were going to get her there.
So there you have it. I totally agreed with this young lady. Kandi did that because more people are talking about the prenup situation than the actual divorce. Shout out to Kandi for protecting her legacy for her babies, for her brand and doing what the hell she had to do. Shout out to her for that. Because at the end of the day, you know, no shade, Todd, but you could talk about how you came up with the ideas. You know what I'm saying? You almost want to portray like you're Candy's manager, but you're not Candy's manager, okay? And, yeah, you came up with ideas, just like this young lady said. So did Candy. But guess what? Kandi Burris executed the work, okay? She was the one that was working outside of the home to make all of y'all dreams come true, yours as well as Candy's. And Todd, if I'm being honest, it seems like you were in charge of starting the restaurant businesses. Kandi didn't want to run no restaurants. Todd, that was your thing. But most of the restaurants are closed down. So it looks like, you know, the business that you decided to go into, you were not good at, okay? Because the restaurants were closing left and right. There could possibly be one old lady gang still open. Then you guys are being sued for hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt from those restaurants that Kandi invested her money into. So, Todd, just be grateful that you had a boss ass chick like Kandi Burris that got your weight up. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can forever live off of Candy's name. And hopefully you do something great and amazing with that. Hey, Regina Boy, thank you so much for being here. So hopefully the fact that you married Candy Burris, hopefully, that, you know, is what you can lean on to better your life moving forward. And that's all I got to say on the matter. Um, I am neutral in this situation because I love, love, love Candy and I like Todd. You know what I'm saying? Um, and we're gonna really see who the villain is in this situation because if Todd tries to, you know, go after this prenup and challenge this prenup, then like why did you marry Candy Todd? Because at the end of the day, you signed the prenup. So if you try to challenge this prenup, it's going to make it seem like what Mama Joy said about you is true, that you are an opportunist because I believe that you leveled up when you married Candy. So take that and do, with that as you will. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Things just didn't work out. And you guys should be able to be friends and co parent, amicably. But Candy, I want to let you know if this ninja start acting up, just move on and just do the best you can because we do not want another Ray J and Princess situation. Sometimes women, we have really big hearts and we feel sorry when we have to end a marriage and we just try to do everything to make it amicable. But with some people, you just can't do that. When you got a Ray J type of situation, it's just not going to work. I don't care how hard you try, it's just not going to work. And you have to accept that and move on. And Regina said, Mama Joyce might have been a little too involved, but she's Candy's mother. Sounds like she was spot on. 100. Exactly. I definitely think that Mama Joyce was doing too much, and I feel like she owes both Candy and Todd an apology, if I'm being honest, because there is no way I would allow my husband to speak. I would allow my mom to speak on my husband that way, to speak on my husband's mom, his dad. That's just I would never do that. Okay. So I feel like Kandi was wrong in that aspect. But at the end of the day, sometimes your mom sees stuff that you don't see because you're blinded by love. And Regina also said, then, in my opinion, bringing other people in not only your relationship, but your marriage, that's a hard no. And a lot of people feel exactly the same way you do, Regina Boyd. Bringing other people into your marriage, it never works. 95% of the time, that never works. Okay. And that is a setup from the beginning. Okay. It's just a setup for disaster. So, I think that this relationship was doomed before they brought people into their marriage. Because even though Todd signed that prenup, I think he also resented Kandi for even wanting him to sign that prenup. And NYXD said, I agree. In the beginning, it seemed like just a worried mother, but that behavior wouldn't be okay, even if they did end up working out. Exactly. That was totally unacceptable. And honestly, I think that Kandi gets it now because as much as people have called Todd an opportunist, people have came down hard on Mama Joyce for what she said about Todd's mom. And I'm sure that Todd never got over what Mama Joyce said about his mom. Okay. And the fact that she passed away shortly thereafter, Mama Joyce said those words, like, honestly, a lot of people feel like Todd should have left at that point when Kandi allowed her mom to speak on his mom that way and just to even speak on him that way. And then a lot of people also feel like Kandi used Mama Joyce as her mouthpiece. She repeated the things that Mama Joyce said about Todd, which she should have never done because she wanted to make it seem like those words were coming from Mama Joyce when she agreed with Mama Joyce, and she should never have repeated what the conversations that her and Mama Joyce had about Todd. And I don't understand why Kandi didn't know that that was wrong. Some people just ride for their moms, but it was wrong. And I believe most people agree that it was wrong. And then Regina said, on top of all that, Todd waited for the 10-year mark. How convenient. He sure did. He even went a step further and waited 11 years just to make sure that he cleared that 10-year mark. And I don't know how true it is. Allegedly, in that prenup, it was said allegedly that Todd is supposed to get $300,000 if he waited the 10 years. So, what I want to know from you guys, do you think it was worth it to stay in a marriage that you were not happy in just to gain $300,000? For me, that seems like a very small amount of money to stay in a marriage where you clearly weren't happy just to gain $300,000. And I also want to point something else out. Todd said that when he married Kandi, that she was only worth $200,000. I do not believe that for a minute. Why would Kandi agree to give you $300,000 if you stayed for 10 years when she was only worth $200,000 at the time when you guys got married? Todd, that doesn't make any sense. I don't believe it. I believe that Kandi was already a self-made millionaire before you even came into the picture. Otherwise, Todd, why would you agree to quit your job as a producer to go and be with somebody that's only worth $200,000? I don't believe that for 1 minute, Todd. Okay. I do believe that you lied about how much Kandi was worth, and you want us to believe that, you were the one that basically got Kandi's bag up and that you helped Kandi to become the successful person that she is today. Meanwhile, Kandi is a boss on paper, okay? Candy's a boss in black and white. She was out there doing the damn work. What do you have on paper to say and for us to believe that you are the person that leveled Kandi up? Where is your black and white? And if you help Kandi to level up, do the same for yourself. Because you claim that you wanted a break. Now you have all the time in the world, Todd, to work on your dreams, to work on your career, and you don't have anything holding you back at this point. So if you made Kandi, now it's your turn to make yourself and to level yourself up the way that you leveled Kandi up in according to what you said. Okay. So if you made Kandi, now we get to watch you level up and make yourself into a millionaire, Todd. That's it. That's all. And Regina says, I love Kandi, but she acts just like Wanda and Tisha. Okay. I can see that. And she said, no, no, no. So, guys, let me make sure I read all of the comments. And Regina also said, they make a cute couple, but I'm not marrying nobody for money unless I was a opportunist, and it's a lot of gold diggers and people wanna level up. Exactly. So people need to look at Kandi as a role model, when it comes to women who choose to marry a man that does not make as much money as they do. They can look at Kandi and the way she put this prenup in place, and hopefully they follow in her footsteps because Kandi did everything right. She protected the legacy for her kids, for her mom, and everybody else that would eventually be involved. Guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you did not like the video on your way in, please like the video on your way out. And if you just happen to be catching the replay, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know each and every time I upload a video. And drop down in the comments so that we can keep this conversation going. My replay gang, I love you guys. We have so much fun in the chat. As long as you guys keep it respectful, we'll continue this conversation in the chat. And Regina says, enjoy your Saturday, sis. And you do the same, Regina. Thank you guys so much for watching, and bye for now.